If you're embedding WebKit rendering engine in your apps that go in TVs and such, that means that you've got a pretty good code base in the WebKit engine. Are you using the JavaScript engine for WebKit as well?
Yes,
Yes.
JS Core.
All right. So what are you doing about the Blink split? Are you following Google, or are you going to?
We use a solution in this, what's out there now on most TV devices from Nokia, which is Qt WebKit.
Yeah. So you're basically the reason why Nokia has a whole bunch of usage. Okay.
Yeah, but and we're actually moving in a direction. We've run into problems where that isn't even satisfactory for our longer-term needs and where we want to take our product, and starting to evaluate, is that even the right solution? Can we leverage JavaScript and web technologies but use an alternative rendering solution? So that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, well, you have a very different rendering need too. I mean, in the sense that you're more focused, I would say, in your delivery of what you're trying to deliver than a traditional let's design anything we want kind of interface or a shopping cart or something like that. So how do you deal with motivating? How do you motivate your teams to do well? Yeah, just a simple question.
Give them hard problems to solve.
What's that?
Give them hard problems to solve.
So hire people that love hard problems and throw hard problems at them. Bells?
So we make a lot of effort at the hiring process, to match people up with the team that they select after they go through boot camp. So there's a real process where they get to talk to all the teams, and then they pick a problem space that they're really passionate about.
Wow.
And just being able to do that unlocks so much more productivity and passion, that it's not really even about the technology stack anymore. It's about solving a certain problem.
Okay, Facebook's winning.
Yeah, and we allow people to move.
What's that?
We allow people to move. So once you get tired of a certain problem and you want to learn something different, year and a half, you go to another team.
Okay, Matt.
I think we do something similar. We don't have. I know about the Facebook boot camp, and we're not hiring nearly as many people. Netflix isn't as big a company as someone might think, considering we have so many users out there. But we do hire people. No, we're not hiring them in as generalists or just to the UI engineering team or just to the design team. They're coming in knowing what they're going to work on, and we steer the interview and the conversations leading up to hiring in that direction, because we want people to come in and be very passionate about the particular challenges and areas that they want to solve. So if it's the TV design space is very different from the mobile design space, different problems to solve, and people want to work with experts in that area. And we do have the flexibility for people to, move as time goes on, but they're kind of coming in not with the, as I have understood, maybe far in the past in Google, you would get hired in to be an engineer, and then you would, someone would figure out what you're going to work on. And so
you're hired in for the task.
We found that model has worked really well for us, and maybe at the scale we're dealing with, we can afford to do that.
All right. Yeah.
I would say somewhat a combination of what has been talked about as well. Additionally, I've been really fortunate to be able to hire really passionate people, and that's really important, and people who fit within my team well, personally. Like, we get along really well. We win and lose as a team. We're all collaborators with the rest of our partner teams. And these are the kinds of people I look for and that really thrive in an environment where we can sort of operate like a little startup within this giant company. It's changed a little bit because we've grown quite a bit. I started out, it was myself and 2 designers, and now there's about 30 people working for me. So there's been a sea change in the last few years. But I still look for these type of people. Additionally, we have kind of passion projects going. The prototyping platform I mentioned was something that we dreamt up and did on the side. We do a lot of things like what our company would call design-a-thons, where we do like these sort of 1-day, 2-day hackathon type things. Additionally, we'll do what we call a Viz Kitchen, where we'll pull together multidisciplinary groups and kind of get everybody interacting and working towards a common problem. So we have a lot of ways to sort of motivate people to keep them interested in their job.
Okay, what about inter-team conflict? Or I'm sorry, did you want to say, Manju?
In our team, what we have the ability to move people around, and also throwing really good problems at people to solve, right? And most based on their interest, not just throw a problem at somebody who don't want to solve the problem. Understanding, I think we have a culture of understanding each person and what motivates them, right? So for some of them, it's working on interesting projects. For some of them, working on the same thing, they're known as the expert for that one.
Right.
So understanding people and their career plan, and then moving them around as needed. And also a lot of opportunities to contribute to the open source projects to the wider community. A lot of talks with Bill coming on board and opening up that technology reach is helping the teams to be very highly motivated. From UIE was considered as second-class citizens before to now UIE drive the experience, and that power is motivating. They don't, now developers come and say, can we join the UIE team? And that, I think, is the power.
You hired great people that are interested in solving problems, and you let them choose the problems they're solving.
Yes.
This is kind of consensus to
Yes.
some degree,
Yes.
with, of course, sometimes there's hard work to be done. What about the conflicts that emerge between people? How do you resolve those? Who here has fired people? Okay. So you've had to deal with the problem, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Is that, I mean, when you're firing someone, does that feel like a failure to you?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
Softball. All right, so you have two people. They're awesome, and they don't work together. There's a relationship or something bad happened, and they just can't stand each other. What do? Move them? Separate them?
Separate them. Sometimes you
Sometimes you
separate.
have to.
Sometimes it's just personal conflicts where we put them in different teams. They work just fine. Sometimes I have had experiences where the technologist, he's really awesome as a technologist, but cannot work in a team, right? So you find areas where they can be put in and be productive. At the same time, mentor them to see if they can work with others. But I don't see them being fired, because if they are great technologists, there's no way we are going to fire them.
Okay.
Right? We'll just find a way to work through them.
Are any of you leading by test-driven development in your teams? Pivotal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. As well. All right. And why aren't you? Why isn't Netflix?
We move pretty fast. So for us, the primary thing is we have a long list of really compelling business ideas that we think are going to make a difference. And we want to get something built enough where we can get a signal from our customers and get it out. And we haven't evaluated, we haven't come to the conclusion that test-driven develop, a lot of it is disposable. Let me put it that way, right? So we test a lot of things and they flop or they're flat. And so we throw it out and we move on. And so test-driven development hasn't been something that the team has been motivated to say, this is critical for us to execute at this particular pace, knowing the sort of somewhat disposable nature of certain things that we build.
Okay, so test-driven development, for anybody that doesn't know, it's the idea that you design your tests, which are actually kind of your metric of what your code would. It's not exactly a test in the sense that you're not building first. It's what is the term for it? Not test, but design-driven or
BDD, behavior-driven development.
What's that?
BDD, behavior-driven development.
behavior-driven development, right? So you set up a test first, which is code, like Jasmine, for example, and you say it should do this, and then you fail that because right away you haven't written anything. So then you write the thing that would succeed. And what happens as you build your stack that way? It's kind of a traditionally backwards way of engineering. At the end of that, if you ever need to do anything, it's very quick and easy to find out if what you've done has broken it. So it allows you to be extremely nimble in the future.
So I'll speak to that. At Yahoo, we had a pretty substantial QA team, and we supported many languages, many modes, many browsers. We were starting to move towards test-driven development, but we still needed a QA team. At Facebook, we have no QA. So we ship software every day.
That's the other thing that you can do with test-driven development.
With no QA.
I'd like to go on record as saying that I didn't say that first up here tonight.
Same way? You know QA?
I didn't say it first. Somebody else said it first.
Okay, so Facebook has no QA.
Imagine that.
Oh my God.
And so
That's like
I'm-
magic.
We're all the QA for it, right?
Let me
all of
tell you,
us.
I am shocked
I'm
because
sorry.
when I was at Yahoo, it was so hard to get the engineers to write unit tests and to test code. And at Facebook, I see check-ins all the time where in the code reviews, other engineers ask engineers, hey, where's your unit test? Or the code reviews, when they are checking in the feature, the unit tests are there. It's self-driven. Or where there's code reviews to defend against other people coding bugs in the area that you primarily own. And so without QA, that safety net is gone, and there's a lot of incentive to, a lot of peer pressure, I would say, to really write a lot of tests. It's not quite test-driven development, but without QA, I would say we count. And lots of automation too, performance testing.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's a pattern of development style, right? There's not a hard line of what it means exactly.
Yep, and in the bathroom stalls, there are Q&As about how to use the test tools that we have. So it's really ingrained in the culture.
But you've printed it on the walls of the bathrooms? Is that what you said?
Somebody went and printed up, like, how do you, write unit tests in this kind of framework versus that kind of framework versus this kind of framework. Here are the programming metaphors you have, and they're on the bathroom stalls.
Okay. I'm going to invite anybody to raise their hand during this whole type if you have a question, and we'll go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm more of an engineer, and I'm looking at like down the line. I'm just wondering, like, I think a couple of you guys started out as engineers. What are the career path for like engineer? Where do you go next? Like after you reach certain level, do you have to become like a engineering manager, or if you want to rise, like get the next like title? What is? It's just, but because not everybody wants to be a manager. So where do you go in your own company's, I guess, experience?
So at PayPal, we have two different career paths. One is the management track, and the other is the IC. We call it individual contributor track.
The which?
Individual contributor. So you are not a manager. Your goal is never to be a manager, but you still want to grow and be a director, a senior director, a VP, and you can do that. And if you are a coder, you're passionate about coding, you are all about improving the coding standards of your team, and be known for your engineering skills. We do a career path for you to be how to grow to your next level and maybe choose an architecture path, or to be an engineer who's a distinguished engineer, right? Who is more looking at the overall systemic impact you can make and how you do that. Or you're going into, hey, I want to be a manager. My career path is, yes, I'm a technologist, but I also want to be managing people and be leading a team. And that's my career goal. Then you go into the manager track. So in both, it works at PayPal that way.
Same at eBay. We're aligned. I would say it's interesting too. It's interesting too. I've got and the design track is exactly the same as the engineering track. You can have IC or manager. And one of my designers, who's kind of my rock star special ops guy, I put him in any situation, and he's a performer, has been worried about what happens. That how is it that how do I succeed without having people report to me? I was like, Jeff, you're in front of the president all the time. Like, what's the problem? I don't even understand. But he's on an IC track, and he's actually very comfortable with that track now.
What's IC?
Individual contributor.
Okay, sorry. Right. Does anyone else have that term outside of? Yeah, you guys using the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, we use the term, but we don't really have tracks per se. I mean, I think my advice would be, do what you're passionate about, and don't think about whether you're managing a team or reporting to people. Think about how you can continue to have a larger impact on the business that you're focused on. And there are no shortage of individual contributors at our company that have a significant impact on our business. So it's not as if a manager, it's a different type of impact, but not necessarily bigger or smaller by any means.
Try both, right? I mean, I've bounced back and forth between development and management a couple of times in my career. Mostly because I've been pulled in the management track because I've been asked, hey, you've got some leadership skills. You should help these guys out. That doesn't mean you can't be technical in that role. Mentoring can happen in many different, columns, right? But I think that I've become a better developer managing developers, and I've become a better manager bouncing back and being an individual contributor again and going back and forth a couple of times.
I would also add that you can do both.
Yep.
That's what I've done. I personally have managed and designed most of my career up until this last year when I've gotten too many people to manage. But I have most of the managers that report to me all are also designers, and that's my expectation. I expect them to continue to push themselves and grow also as a manager at the same time.